Hi Joe, how are you?
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. So you out there training in the heat today, a bit hotter than it was in Cardiff. How's it been?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. Obviously good to get out here as early as possible, sort of acclimatise a little bit, because like you said, it is pretty hot. But obviously something that we're going to face in the two games that we've got. So it's important to get in here early, and it hasn't been ridiculously hot. Obviously we had a week in Portugal as well, which has helped us prepare. But no, we're really looking forward to the challenge. But yeah, it's definitely a bit hotter than back home.
You featured prominently in the friendly, certainly in the third game against France. I don't know, I've never been in an international squad, so I've got no idea. But do you sit around chatting about who might be in the team on Saturday?
I don't think it's necessarily something that takes up a lot of conversation. You obviously, as the week goes on, you get a better feel of what the team potentially could be, especially towards the end of the week, which is obviously what we've got to come. But it's not something that people talk about a lot. People obviously understand that there's only 11 players can play. There's going to be some lads that are disappointed not to start the first game. But I think the beauty of a tournament is we've got 3 games in 8 days, I think. In hot conditions. So everyone's, I'd imagine, is going to feature at some point. Everyone's going to have a part to play. So I think there'll be some disappointed lads who won't get the nod to start on Saturday. But I'm sure put the disappointment behind them or us, and focus on taking opportunities when they come.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Carl. Ben Fisher.
Hi Joe, you okay?
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just wondering how kind of homely it feels. I know obviously the FAW and the support staff have gone to great lengths to try and make it feel that way. Just wonder what you sort of made of it all.
No, it does feel very homely. A similar sort of setup to what we have at the Vale, which is obviously our base. And we've been there for a few weeks before we flew out, so it does feel very homely, very familiar. And I think the FAW do a great job of making sure that's the case. So one thing's for sure is we won't have any excuses when we cross that white line on Saturday, because the preparation's been fantastic, as it always is.
Yeah, as I said, all sorts of favourites coming on, and Welsh cakes, all sorts.
I haven't seen any Welsh cakes yet, but it might just be for the staff. Might be hiding them.
In terms of the game, Joe, how do you view the group out of interest? Obviously, a lot of people are saying it's a toughie. How do you view it?
No, I think that's definitely the case. It is a tough group. It's definitely going to be a challenge, one that we'll relish, I think. But I think it will be a tough group to predict from the outside. I can imagine the betting odds are pretty similar. I think obviously you'd say Italy are probably the strongest team in the group, probably one of the favourites for the whole thing. So that'll be a tough game, but I think it will benefit us playing them last, hopefully. But it is a tough group. I don't think there's a team that you'd expect to come bottom of the group. Certainly a very even group, but again, 3 tough games, which is what you're going to get at this on this stage.
Yeah, you personally must feel great, obviously, having got some minutes in those friendlies.
Yeah, the France one was obviously a tough game. Picked up a little knock that kept me out of the Albania one, but definitely needed to get some minutes, like everyone really. But it's been good. I've been away almost 3 weeks now, I think, and training's been tough all the way through, which is what I've needed after not playing so much this season. So I feel fit and ready to go, and looking forward to Saturday.
Best of luck, Joe. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Ben. Ian Mitchell.
Hi Joe, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Just wanted to follow on from what you said there about Italy being favourites. I think some bookmakers said Wales are the favourites to finish bottom of the group. Do you think that's fair, and does it even bother you as a squad?
I think it's perfect that people are saying that, to be honest. I think the lads probably had similar in 2016. And of course, I'm not saying we're going to do the same thing, but I don't think there's massive pressure on us, which will be perfect, really. I think we'll approach this as though we have every other game, go into it with the same positive mindset. And like I said, looking forward to the challenge of 3 really tough games.
And in terms of your personal career, Joe, I think, is it 4 loans you've had now before you moved to Luton? Does it feel sort of a bit more stable for you now, and that hopefully will benefit you on the international stage with Wales as well?
Yeah, I mean, club football's obviously been a bit of a challenge the past season, not playing so much. That's something that'll be resolved in the summer, hopefully. But I think it's sort of something that I've put to the back of my mind. it's not every year you get to experience playing in a major championship, and that's something I'm looking forward to, and sort of parking everything else until after.
Thanks, Joe. Best of luck.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Ian. And Nigel?
Hi, Joe.
How are you? Okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks. There's been a lot of talk about how the defence will play in the opening game and also the group stage. Does that have any impact on how you may play as a midfielder?
I think little tactical shifts like that are always normal. We might play the same formation that we have before, but there's always little details that are different. Little 5 yards here, 5 yards there that make a difference, especially in the centre midfield when you're responsible for a lot, both in and out of possession. So there's always little tweaks. You never go into a game, especially with the coaching staff that we've got and the messages they give. I don't think I've ever played the same game for Wales in terms of the instructions that I've had. So that'll be no different this time. We'll obviously get the balance right between playing on the front foot and playing our game, but also being wary of the opposition's strengths and trying to counteract that. But I mean, it's always something that I'm comfortable with, and I'm sure I speak for all the members of the squad.
There are obviously members of the squad who were around in 2016, and there's players like yourself who are coming through for their first major tournament. How much have you tried to feed on their experiences previously? Not just what's happened on the field, but also around the camp as well? Yeah,
I think so. And I've said before, we've got a fantastic group of senior players. I think we've got a good balance in the squad of lads that have obviously been there and done it in 2016 and been really successful. And obviously lads who, like myself, and quite a few younger lads who haven't experienced that before and are sort of going into it with, a little bit blind, but I think sort of hopefully not naive. I think that'll be important. We know what to expect. By drawing on the experiences of 2016, I think that is important because it was such a big thing for the team and the country. But I do think we've got a good balance between, fresh players who haven't experienced it before and don't really know what to expect, and lads who've been there and done it. And I think it's important that we can lean on those experiences from the boys.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Good luck.
Cheers.
Thanks, Nigel. Mackenzie?
Hi Joe, hope you're well.
Thank you, mate.
From a personal point of view, how much is your game sort of come on since you've been playing for Wales? Because, from my opinion, you sort of just took your chances as it comes, really.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been the case. I think, football, as in life, you don't necessarily get a lot of opportunities. So when they come along, you have to try and take them with both hands, and I feel like I've done that fairly well. Who knows if I wasn't decent in my first in my debut against Belarus in front of whatever it was, 4,000 or 5,000 at Cardiff City Stadium, I might not be sat here now, and that's just the case for everyone. I can imagine every player in the squad can look back at past experiences and think, well, I took my chance there, and that's something that I've always tried to do when they come along. But it's a stage that I feel comfortable playing at. I know we've got fantastic world-class players, but I feel comfortable playing alongside them. And when you come up against the top players, I also feel comfortable playing against them. So I think these 3 games in 8 days will be a challenge, but one I'm looking forward to personally.
Imagine going up, you would have watched the Pirlos, Iniestas, Busquets, Gerrards, Lampards, etc. in major tournaments. What's it like being at your first one, and how excited are you the prospect of maybe facing some of the top players in the later stages of the tournament? Yeah,
I don't think it's really sunk in yet. I don't think it will until 5 o'clock on Saturday, so that's something I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, like you said, you grow up watching games at this stage and being really excited as a fan, and obviously now it's my turn as a player, really, which is something that I never thought would happen. Especially growing up playing for Wales, it was not something that would be classed as a realistic target, because obviously Wales had never qualified before 2016, and I think that campaign gave everyone hope for the future, and hopefully it can become a bit more of a normal thing.
Cheers, best luck, Joe.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Mackenzie. James Mercy?
Hi Joe.
How are you? Okay?
Good, thanks. You mentioned earlier you're quite candid, you've not probably played as much for your club as you would have liked. That situation sounds like you're going to look to resolve it in the summer. But it seems a bit of a quirk that you're almost relied upon for Wales, aren't you? You've never let the country down. And you're in the international national team, it seems it's slightly unusual, right?
It is a bit of an unusual situation. I can't imagine many people have had that before. But like you said, I've always tried to take opportunities when they've come for Wales. I feel comfortable playing for Wales, which almost makes it even more frustrating when you go back to your club and you're not necessarily playing every week. But it's something that I've had to handle, I've had to take on the chin. And I think having the Euros at the end of the season has always kept me as motivated as I can be to try and stay fit and ready for when it comes around, and I do feel fit and ready going into it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you probably like proving a point in some respects, and from what you said earlier as well, perhaps the team do, because those odds that were quoted suggested that people aren't expecting Wales maybe to get out of the group, but from what you said earlier, you think the team will be using that as motivation to prove people wrong, perhaps?
I think so, and I think that's probably what they did in 2016 as well. I think if we sat there and listened to everyone's predictions, then it's not going to help us. We're certainly ready to prove people wrong, but also I think the bigger motivation is trying to do well for the 3 million people back home. I think that's the more important thing. I don't think we'll pay attention to the bookies' odds or anything like that. I think it's just doing it for ourselves, our families, and the people of Wales.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, James. And Daniel Bevan?
Hi Joe, how are you, mate? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Wonderful. We've got a few bites from the other players about what it's like to be in the camp. You've had a couple of days to settle in now, so give us an idea of what it's like day to day, the sort of schedules that you guys have got to put up with. Is it a grueling training session or is it more relaxed?
I wouldn't say it's too grueling. I think probably the time for the fitness work and the really tough training sessions has been, in the first 2 weeks that we met up. We had a really tough week in Portugal where we got a lot of fitness work into our legs. Obviously lads that like myself haven't played so much this season. It was a good opportunity for us to get up to speed. And then obviously with the 2 friendlies, I think now's the time for more tactical instructions, more game-based stuff, focusing on the opposition. And I think that'll be the sort of schedule going into for the rest of the tournament, hopefully. I think training hasn't been too tough. Obviously the heat you have to take into account as well. But yeah, now's the case just for a bit more tactical work and focus on the opposition.
And what's the kind of split between working on tactics, getting the pitch, and also the downtime that you guys have?
Yeah, so obviously being away and especially with COVID, not a lot of opportunity to do stuff yourself. You're in the hotel quite a lot, and like I said at the start, the FAW have done a brilliant job in making sure that we've got plenty of things to do, and there's table tennis and there's PlayStation and pool tables and stuff, and I think it's just you have to get the balance right after training between recovering and getting ready for the next day, but also enjoying yourself because we're going to be here for a long time, but hopefully a very long time. So you have to recover right, get ready for the next day, but also enjoy yourself because it's not every year that you're at a major European Championship, and who knows, it might be the last one.
Just lastly from me, I mean, obviously we know about how core of a group in 2016 the lads were, the films that have come out since, just goes to show how close the group is. I mean, I imagine you've seen those types of clips. Is it replicated in this squad?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't speak for the lads in 2016 because I wasn't there, but like you said, there was a lot of coverage of that and the togetherness that really drove them on in reaching the semi-finals, and all I can say is that we do have a great togetherness here. It's obviously led by a good group of senior players, but I think that's something that we have to have. I don't think, we're a country of 3 million people and we've got a fantastic team with fantastic players, but I think our biggest strength is always the unity that we've got and the togetherness that we show. Not just every match day, but every time that we meet up and every day that we're around each other.
Great stuff. Best of luck, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally from Megan.
Hey Joe, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks you.
Yeah, just really quick one from me, but you said earlier that you never played the same game for Wales, and kind of a little bit of a segue off that, but is there any game in particular that you loved the most so far playing for Wales? Do you think that any games potentially coming up could top it?
I hope so. I hope I haven't played my best game for Wales yet, because obviously we've got 3 big ones coming up and hopefully more. But I think looking back, you obviously look at your debut. Like I said, playing against Belarus, that was obviously a massive achievement for me and my family to make my debut for Wales. But I look back to the 2 big games in qualifying, Azerbaijan away, obviously being back here now, sort of jogs your memory of that. That was a game that I think it was my first competitive start, and there was obviously a lot of pressure. We had Joe Allen suspended, so I was sort of not thrown in, but you know, it was sort of, there was a lot of pressure on myself to sort of step in for someone who's such a good player, and I felt like I proved my worth that night, and I think I've just prided myself on taking every opportunity that I get with Wales.
Cool. All right, thank you. And good
Thank
luck
you.
this week.
Cheers.
Great, thank you very
All
much.
good?